Welcome to the Mole Valley Railway. My name is Alan Mole and I'm the owner, proprietor, president, chief bottle washer of this On30 layout that has been built over the last 5 years, 6 years. I should mention that Mole Valley comes from a combination of names that I experienced during my childhood. I went to school in Surrey, in Leatherhead, and the river that ran through was called the Mole River. They ran through the town, and of course that, as it proceeded down south towards Dorking, Surrey, it went through a valley, and hence the name Mole Valley. And indeed, the train that ran from, actually came out of Waterloo, went south into Dorking and Point South, was called the Mole Valley Railway. So that is why the G-scale layout I had was also called the Mole Valley. But this has more significance because I put more mole names on this, and I'm referring to my notes. The layout you're going to see shortly is a On30 layout, and it was built representing more or less the northwest of the US. However, as you do your tour, you're going to see that I've incorporated a little bit of everything. For example, let's start by where are you? Well, you're standing in the water, you're standing in the bay. I haven't named it yet, but we'll call it the Mole Bay or the Molehaven Bay. And you'll see that the ships come in here, the fishing ships will go out and do their fishing, and the larger ships will go and do their business elsewhere, going out to the ocean. That is why, to my right, you'll see that we have a lighthouse. We have the rocks, which you imagine would go down to the sea, because why would you have a lighthouse? To avoid any catastrophe. You have the center area, which is the dock. The dock obviously will have space for all the larger fishing vessels as well as the ocean-going vessels, and a ferry or two. Actually, I've even got a tug there. And then as you move further to the right, as you wander around, you will note that you go into town. You will go past lodgings that the sailors enjoy, which is called the Oar House, and further down you've got a little village with some local activities. You've got a church, you've got your oyster house where you can go and fill yourself with oysters, and all kinds of small industries, including fish and chip shops. The whole area enjoys quite a few work areas, in the sense you've got a mining community behind me. You have, as you move down, you've got a winery. As you move further across, right in front of the winery is the brewery. As you move further down, you've got the large building on the dock, which is the Mole Valley Agricultural Cooperative. Again, you'll see pictures of this as we move down the road. You've got all kinds of other activities and businesses, including my wife's own travel agency called Midas Travel. We have, in addition to those, of course, we have a lot of fishing. You see on the dock, a lot of fish going on. We got large fish, we got lobster, and indeed, downtown you'll even see a shark that was brought in. So I hope you enjoy this layout. I will give you occasional commentary. Enjoy railroading. One of my favorite buildings, because I always have enjoyed looking at lighthouses all over the world, is the lighthouse I built with the help of Buddy Black from down south. Great person, a lot of fun doing things with him, and he made me the round pieces that created the tower of the lighthouse. And putting that together was a lot of fun. But this is a real lighthouse. It is called the Rock Harbor Lighthouse on Lake Michigan. Many of you may have been there and seen it. It was fun to build, did take a while. Generally, I would say this was one of my favorites because it does really look like the real thing. One other thing, when you are modeling, if it is a historic building, all you have to do is call the Historic Society or the Historical Society, depending on who they are, and they will give you plans, and the plans are indeed on the wall back of the room. The light is an intermittent light, of course, but in order to get it to diffuse, I just used a simple straw, which is, I can't use a red one from Chick-fil-A, but I did find a clear straw, which makes that at night look really cool. Behind the lighthouse is the favorite camping spot on the Molehaven side of the bay. And this is special because it has a grotto, it has a swimming area. Families can come and enjoy fishing, swimming. You'll see there's one little guy fishing, couple swimming, one guy jumping off the trestle, which he shouldn't do, of course, and another guy over there on the left-hand side with his fishing pole. I hope he doesn't get his hook stuck on that young lady's rubber dinghy, but who knows? Could all be fun. Above it, you have a number of opportunities for fun. You have a hiker who has not noticed that there is a bear, hungry bear, following him. We don't want to scare the kids, so we won't tell you how that finishes. We also have other animals. As you look over here, we have a hare. To the left of that, you have something with antlers. Hard to see, but we enjoy putting in animals. There are deer, there are birds. All makes for a fun viewing opportunity. As we moved from one house to another, I extended this part of the layout, and in doing so, this is how we've disguised the fact that there really was a tunnel at some point on the original layout. It is no longer obviously in use, but we like the way it looks. The other very interesting endeavor was to build the switchback, and I have modified it 2 or 3 times to try and make it more useful and run better. Going uphill is always a challenge, making rail go where you want it to go, as well as making it look good. The locomotive on the track, the Heisler, is the only locomotive that really does a good job going up and down the track. It's something, if I did it again, I would spend a lot more time trying to work out how best to do it. The idea of having a switchback always appealed to me, and I do think it adds a great feature to this area of the layout. The mine, which you see in the center, is a kit, a fairly complicated kit, but it was a very interesting kit to build. At one point, I had the foolish notion that maybe I could have a mine shaft going down underneath and maybe even have it working, but that idea actually dissipated very quickly. Another enjoyable feature is having all the industries and agricultural features, and this is one of our favorites, which you will find on the northwest coast. Excellent wines in Washington State, as well as, of course, Oregon. Delicious. So this is our winery. We have a small vineyard place, and you can see they've got a small truck or a truck getting ready to haul away, but I think he might have a puncture. Not sure yet, but his wife's not letting him, getting her hands dirty. She's letting him check it out. In front of the winery is, of course, the brewery, which is always plenty of activity. It is as yet unnamed. When I suggested it should be Allen's Brewery, everyone said no. This is the Mole Valley Agricultural Cooperative main dock. This is where the ships come in, unload. You'll see on one side we have fishing with some fish already having been unloaded, and you can see another ship that has a hold full of fish. Before we get into those industries, I want to just tell you how this was built. First of all, great help from Steve Austin, who's built many fine docks. So I kind of took a lead from him on how best to do it. The main deck is just a plain piece of plywood. When I started, I first built the pilings, which are made from dowel, obviously weathered, heavy weathering. I didn't paint them, I just weathered them with India ink solution. After cutting all these things up, and if you start counting, you'll realize there's like 6 to a section. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 sections on both sides. You've got a lot of pilings because you have pilings underneath too. So I'm thinking you probably got like 200 or 300 pilings because you need the support underneath. I didn't want to have a problem with the middle. Once the pilings and the cross bracing were finished, then you turn it back over, and that is your working area where first I placed the track. As I said earlier, the track included Pico turnouts because they have a sharper turn, sharper radius, and it's much easier to get more on the 7x2 space. I wanted to have as many sidings as possible, and I think probably I overdid it. Once the track was down, then I laid the decking. And most of the decking obviously is pre-weathered, colored with many nail holes as required, cut to a normal plank length. So it was quite a lengthy endeavor, required a lot of patience and listening to a fair amount of classical music to keep me calm, cool and collected. You're now on the high side of the dock, and we're going to just look at a couple of the ships. First of all, the ship you see in the foreground is a British kit of a 1945, or it's actually probably wartime ammunition ship that used to run up and down the east coast of England, taking ammunition out, probably out of London, up to various key spots where you had Air Force fields or airfields and other opportunities for self-defense. This was converted, although it never lost its name, to a regular steamship working in the northwestern part of the US, and it retained its name of the gun rudder, but as you can see, what they're loading should not include guns. It's heavy material, industrial material and the like. The Molehaven ferry takes people across the bay to other sides of the area. The bay, remember, you are standing in it, so you will enjoy the fact that we do have transportation, not just by train, but also by ferry, by boat. Fishing boats do their own thing. They don't take people across, but we do have a ferry to take care of that. Towards the back of the dock, and you'll see a train going by, you can see we do have a large rock which needs a warning light on top of it. We do have a buoy that has a similar light, just warning people that there's danger ahead. The dock was built so that we could have trains coming in from both sides, which means we have a Y and all the necessary electronic hookups to ensure no stalling and anything else. You can come straight in. You'll have ability to come in and walk out simply because of what is underneath the table. As we pan away from the dock, we come to a building which is really, I modeled this on a building in Creek Street in Ketchikan. It was kind of a fun building. So I built this dock, the building itself, the oar house, for sailors coming off the ship needing somewhere to sleep. So this is the area where there's quite a bit of weekend fun. Got people can come on. You've got a guy with a monkey. You've got Marilyn Monroe with an audience of a large dog. And then you've got other activities over here to the right, a little band playing while someone is being frisked, ice cream being sold, hot dogs being sold. This is the fun area where people come and check out what's going on. The second round of panning through the town, you can see we have a fishing boat that's just offloaded a shark that is leaving a bloody mess on the sidewalk in front of the boat. But they're very happy about that, and you can see somebody trying to measure or establishing how big the shark was, which of course is reality is much larger than his wide arms out wide indication. Behind that, as I said, we have the barber shop, we have a local fast food, we have the Majestic Theatre, we have our favorite lobster person who's just come in and is very proudly showing a large lobster. You have the general junk place, which you have around most layouts, where you're going to have a few people chatting, a few people playing checkers, some doing nothing at all. Moving further, as I mentioned, you can see Midas Travels, which of course has a number of young ladies chatting in front of it about what they're going to do with their husband's money and where they're going to travel. That's the way it works, and don't ever think otherwise. The only negative to Midas Travels is that one of the drunk's unruly dog happens to be raising its leg on the lamp post. One of the more challenging kits I had to buy was this coal unloading facility, quite apart from the fact that the plans weren't quite as accurate and as detailed as perhaps one needed. It was also extremely fragile. On one occasion, something fell and managed to damage rigging, which took me probably another day to fix. But it is a beautiful model, not complaining too much, and at the end of the day it looks great here. But this is the coal unloading section. We're going to move to the oil rig in a minute, but of course you have to have storage and you have to have officers telling everybody where the oil is going to go and how it goes. As you could see, we have an oil loading station for the oil cars, which again was an extremely delicate kit to build, but fun nonetheless. The name Mole Oil Company is translated into Moloko, M-O-L-O-C-O, Moloko, Mole Oil Company. The final scene is the oil rig, which wouldn't necessarily have been quite as close to the sea as this one is, but again, it was a kit I wanted to build. A great kit, enjoyed it very much. It is more complicated. Actually, it's not quite as complicated as the coal unloader, but it is certainly not an easy one. It had lots of features, and it came out pretty well. Very happy with that. Pity the poor guy on top of the rig, because he's the junior sent to check out that the cables are okay. But he seems to have a good head for heights, so we're happy that he's up there and I'm not. The building behind the rig is a kit-bashed building. It was originally some kind of grocery or supply, but I wanted to have a sort of swanky house for the owner who owns the oil company. His name must be Mole too, but at least he's got a nice house, got a beautiful view from his back door into the Cascade Mountains, and that's his house. His car is in the driveway, and of course he loves trains because they go past his front door constantly. Well, thanks for visiting Mole Valley Railway. I hope you've had a good time. We've enjoyed showing it to you, and hopefully we'll see you sometime in the future. All the best to all of you, and good night. Lights out. Good night.